her confidential medical information being improperly revealed. She understandably complained about this harassment, and then she was fired.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
We've got a story out of Mississippi at a Tractor Supply. And Adam, you're from Mississippi. What is going on here?
That's right. I am originally from Mississippi, though at this point I've been in Alabama longer than I was in Mississippi, but still, that's still home for me. And we have a story coming out of Hattiesburg, and Hattiesburg, Mississippi is the home of the University of Southern Mississippi. I've spent some good times there, seeing football games, and used to go shopping there, so very familiar with that town. And there's a Tractor Supply there facing a lawsuit after a manager made a worker's HIV infection known not only throughout the store, but even to a customer, resulting in the worker's harassment and eventual firing. That's according to an EEOC complaint that has been filed. Julia Marnin with the Charlotte Observer had an article come out a few weeks ago about this, and it just was so beyond the pale. It stood out to me.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, yeah, that's insane that, there are still, I thought that we left that, with Reagan in the 80s, people just going around and harassing you for having HIV, and not that anybody having HIV is deserving of ridicule or anything, but this woman was born with it.
Yeah, it's just disgusting. The complaint goes on. Store managers and workers called the woman a, quote, contagion or contamination of the store. And also said it needed to be under quarantine after they learned her confidential medical information, according to the September 29th EEOC complaint. And the worker, she was told she was, quote, making everybody highly uncomfortable, and that was from a store manager. After a store manager pressured her into revealing the medical condition she was born with. Now the EEOC is accusing Tractor Supply of disability discrimination and says the company fired the worker after she complained of the repeated harassment. So not only was she getting harassed because of her HIV status, and not only was this being revealed to folks, her confidential medical information being improperly revealed, she understandably complained about this harassment, and then she was fired. And the lawsuit comes after the agency tried reaching a pre-litigation settlement. That's interesting. Of course, Tractor Supply spokeswoman said that they don't comment on pending litigation, at least according to their last statement. It's worth noting that HIV is considered a disability under the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that is essentially the statute there that's in play with this EEOC complaint. Going on in the article, while the former worker has HIV, Tractor Supply is further accused of mistaking her condition for AIDS, according to the complaint. If HIV goes untreated, it can result in AIDS, which the worker did not have. Bradley Anderson, the director of the EEOC Birmingham, Alabama District Office, said in a statement that employees should, quote, be able to work without worrying about whether they will be harassed because of their disability, close quote. Seems like a pretty basic, reasonable ask. And a couple other things that they mention in this article. Apparently, there was persistent questioning of this employee in terms of her not being able to work certain days. She was seeking medical treatment, had appointments, but one thing led to another. They kept questioning her, and that's when she initially revealed her HIV status. Afterward, the store manager in Laurel, Mississippi, made it public that the worker had HIV by notifying managers and workers as well as a customer at the Hattiesburg store where the worker was promoted to. I mean, what a hell of a note. You think you're getting a promotion, you're moving to a new store, and here's your old manager calling up everybody.
Jeez.
The EEOC did not specify possible motivations as to why the woman's medical condition was publicized. Well, they may not comment, but I'm sure we can come up with our own ideas about what sort of bigotry was at play and ignorance was at play. A couple of other things. The harassment, of course, got worse after word of mouth spread in Hattiesburg in her new store location. And Tractor Supply managers and workers would go, quote, out of their way to avoid her due to unfounded fears of HIV transmission, close quote, according to the complaint. Ultimately, she was terminated after reporting the harassment, after complaining, asking for it to stop. And eventually, after the termination, she contacted the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and I'm very glad that she did.
Yeah.
And EEOC eventually filed a charge of discrimination. And so the lawsuit seeks to recover back pay and damages for the woman, as well as to have Tractor Supply prevent further discrimination from occurring. We'll see what happens with that, but I have never heard of something quite like that, where managers are running around telling people your health conditions like that.
Yeah, that's just...
And even customers finding out. I mean, just how awful. Awful.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Really, really kind of lowest of the low kind of behavior from that boss over there.
Right. And, I'm glad that there was an article to come out that, Julia Marnin, Julia Marnin with the Charlotte Observer. I was glad to see that because something we've talked about a little bit is how much local news, if you ever pay attention to it, it's a profile of mostly poor people who have been arrested. I mean, you think about how much of the local news in 30 minutes is spent on mugshots and arrests,
right?
People behaving badly, right? But think about how much time is spent on that versus the amount of time spent on reporting businesses and bosses behaving badly and breaking the law. And that's something that has really just stuck in my craw. And so I believe we're going to be doing some regular features on the show highlighting businesses and bosses behaving badly, especially down here in the South.
Yeah. We could definitely use a lot more of that. So best of luck to her as she goes through that case.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.